Hi folks, welcome to RJA Impact. Today we're going to be talking about the goings-on in the Ramesh Sunny Balwani Theranos trial. This is the third video in what is hopefully now a series as we follow his trial, which officially commenced this week. So far we've just had the jury selection and no opening argument, so even though it is week one of the trial, the whole approach by the defence and prosecution should be laid out next week after the jury selection process has concluded. As a reminder, Balwani is in court accused of multiple counts of fraud against doctors, patients and investors in connection with his role as CEO and President of Theranos, alongside his co-conspirator, CEO Elizabeth Holmes. Now, due to Elizabeth Holmes making accusations of abuse against Balwani as part of her defence, the trials were separated. Holmes has already been found guilty on 4 counts of fraud against investors and conspiracy to commit fraud. Balwani faces the same indictment as Holmes, and this can be summarised through an extract from the District Court's website, which comments on the trial as follows. Elizabeth A. Holmes and Ramesh Sunny Balwani, former executives of Health Technology Corporation Theranos, are charged with wire fraud in violation of 18 U.S.C. Code 1343 and conspiracy to commit wire fraud in violation of 18 U.S.C. Code 1349. The charges stem from the defendants' alleged deceptive representations about their company and its medical testing technology. The defendants will be tried separately. Now, just to give you a little bit more background and to split the indictments down a little bit further, we have counts 1 and 2, which are conspiracy indictments of wire fraud against investors and patients, respectively. Counts 3 through to 8 are specific counts of fraud against investors, and finally counts 9 through 12 are specific counts of wire fraud against patients. Yes, that's it, 12 in total. Holmes faced only 11 counts at the final reckoning because the prosecution made an error in presenting erroneous information relating to the nature of one of the patient's medical conditions, and it was dropped during that trial. I don't expect they'll make the same error twice. If you don't want to miss out on future updates in the series, then hit subscribe and the notification button. As one final reminder, Theranos was touted as a revolutionary blood testing company that aimed to be an industry disruptor, applying its technology locally, conveniently and much cheaper than its rivals. It was worth over $9 billion at its height, but ultimately crashed and burned when its technology was found to be sadly defective. It had to void most of the blood tests it ever took, and investors lost just shy of $1 billion. So what's been going on? Well, we've had jury selection, which is exactly as it sounds. The prosecution and defence have been going through the potential jurors, all of whom completed jury questionnaires one by one, questioning them and looking to ensure impartiality if they were called to sit on the trial. The difficulty has been that Holmes' trial was so widely publicised in the media that to find a juror that has no knowledge of the case at all is pretty much impossible. As a result, while the ideal juror would be someone who has no knowledge of the case, Theranos, Balwani or Holmes at all, inevitably there are some compromises. Let's get into it. One man was excused very early on because his wife has cancer and he was worried about conveying COVID-19 back to her. And he also had a medical condition requiring he stand up every 10 minutes. Judge De Villa excused him on grounds of hardship. Yes, that's the same Judge De Villa who presided over the Holmes case. So we had 30 to 40 jurors who were all sworn in, and the selection process began. Okay, so here I'm just going to go through a number of the exchanges with the jurors in no particular order, just the ones that have been reported and I've picked out. Make of them what you will. I've tried to be fairly representative of the ones that I have used. So we had another juror with a medical condition requiring her to stand, and she'll be 31 weeks pregnant by the end of the trial. One juror was apparently retained by Balwani's defence team while he was working at a forensic accountant, and another says he may know some of the witnesses. The judge asked everybody who knows about the case, and yes, an awful number of hands were then raised. People had watched the first trial on the news and seen TV specials on the case, and one had seen the trailer for The Dropout. One juror says they can't be biased as they have read the news and shared details with friends, etc. But yet another said they read the news but can be unbiased. Oh dear, there was apparently an attorney who was summoned to be a juror but didn't turn up to court. I wonder what the outcome of that will be. There were jurors who knew about Tyler Schultz and had seen Erica Chung's TED videos, and knew about George Shultz's connection, and so on. By the time these preliminaries had ended, we were down to around 25 potential jurors, and when asked, about half of these had heard about Balwani's relationship with Holmes. So the elephant in the room got raised. The defence wanted to question jurors individually about whether they had heard the abuse claims that Holmes had made against Balwani. And they wanted to ask them directly, I guess so as not to alert all jurors, including the ones that were genuinely ignorant about the abuse claims that Holmes had made against Balwani. Well, without asking them directly, so as to not alert all jurors, it seemed to confuse the hell out of them. One thing that made me chuckle was when the judge asked one juror what a tabletop RPG was. Do you know Dungeons and Dragons? The juror responded. Well, ho-hum. Things moved on. Another juror said that they had volunteered to fight in Ukraine and didn't know if they would get the call to go. I'm not sure where that one's going. One juror said Balwani isn't innocent. Oh dear, I don't think the principle of innocent until proven guilty is really in their mindset. However, he's already annoyed by the length of time that the selection process is taking. Now, I'm not sure how long he'll last in a 3-month trial. The prosecutor said, in quotes, it cannot be the case that the knowledge of prejudicial information, even of one individual, is sufficient to excuse the juror. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? But apparently this does have some basis in law and is a correct statement according to the Boston Marathon bomber case which was cited. Ho-hum, at about this point the defence makes a motion to dismiss all the jurors, and primarily because they've had some media exposure to the case. A fire. Yes, a fire in an adjacent building. This reminded me of the mains pipe that caused a delay in the Holmes trial. But not this time. A short delay and events proceeded. Another oh dear moment. One juror says that they may be a menace, looking like they want to get out of the trial to me. Someone was potentially racist against people from Pakistan. Yep. They were nixed. Well, in case you didn't know it, that is Balwani's heritage. Oh well, a mix of humour and deadly seriousness, as you might expect from what is truly a key part of the judicial process. Now I'll wrap up on the jury process here, and hopefully we'll get to the opening statements next week, and who knows, we might even see a witness on the stand. Well, that's it. If you want to watch more of these updates, then please subscribe and hit the notification button, and you won't miss out. Bye for now.